Hey everyone, Jared here, and today we are going to be talking about the 2006 movie Superman Returns, directed by Bryan Singer. And this is a movie I have loved ever since I saw it back in 2006, and I don't think many people would share that same sentiment. When I initially watched this film, I was in a big Superman mood. I had seen the original two Superman movies from 78 and 1980 and absolutely fell in love with that character and with things such as Batman Begins coming out, Spider-Man 3 just around the corner. Superman Returns was right in that era of superhero movies that I was most excited for. And I watched that movie and I loved it. I saw the movie twice in theaters, which was something I never did as a child, which is really strange because most people find this movie incredibly boring at times and overlong, but to me, it just ran so well. And over the years, people have been a little bit more kind to this movie. The positivity around the film has dwindled some while also rising some. Some people finding it this lost treasure of a superhero film, while others just kind of find it dull and boring and lackluster compared to the Superman movies that came before, mainly, of course, the first two. However, I think this is an incredibly special film that in this day and age would have never gotten made. And I'm surprised that it even got made in the first place. It started out as a love letter to those original Superman movies from the 70s and 80s with Christopher Reeve. And Bryan Singer wanted to do kind of a little bit of a callback film that celebrated the Superman that everybody fell in love with. I'm talking about more of a general audience, not necessarily a comic book audience. And I think that is the selling point of this movie. It's kind of a pseudo sequel of sorts to those Christopher Reeve movies while also having a little bit of its own identity. However, I don't think that this movie could exist on its own without those previous films. And it all started mainly because Bryan Singer had worked on the first two X-Men movies with Fox. However, with negotiations falling through with the third film, he decided to jump ship and go over to Warner Brothers to do his passion project. And I'm so glad that he did. Despite the fact that I would have loved him to do X-Men 3, I think Superman Returns might very well be his best film that he has ever made. I adore this film, from its action set pieces to the beautiful score by John Ottman to just the feeling of optimism and love and care that is put into this film to make it feel like a story and a film from a bygone era. Movies like this don't get made anymore. One of my best friends said it like this: Superman from 1978 is a celebration of a bygone era of the golden age of comic books, whereas Superman Returns is a celebration of a bygone era of movie making. This is like 70s new Hollywood era filmmaking here, and it's so indulgent in the best way possible while also sticking true to its guns, to its themes, characters, and it's altogether a perfect package in my opinion. I adore this film, and I think it has such reverence to those original two films while also feeling special in its own right. It's optimistic, it's thought-provoking at times. It explores the world of Superman, where Superman has left Earth for 5 years, and he comes back to realize what the world was like after he left. Does he have a place in this world anymore? Do people still need a Superman? And I think the answer is ultimately yes, that people do need a Superman, but people are still able to rise up and be able to take care of themselves as well, as we see in Lois Lane's famous article that she does in this movie called Why the World Doesn't Need Superman. And we get both sides in this case. And it's a much more reflective film. It's as if somebody looked at those first two Superman movies that Christopher Reeve did and was like, what if Superman reflected on his actions and his place among the people of Earth? And I think the film really, that is the core of the film. I also have to talk about the imagery of the film. Superman Returns has some of the most iconic Superman imagery ever put to film. My favorite moment in particular is where Superman goes up into space and is just floating in the orbit of Earth, listening to everybody around him. He can hear everybody around the Earth calling out for help. He can just sense the entire world, and you get this kind of idea that he is God in this instance, which is a theme that I really think was truly first explored in this, at least in live action. And it's so well done. It's a beautiful image. The action scene with the airplane, everybody talks about that scene, and I feel that that is the only thing that people talk about with this movie, besides one other thing that I will get into. But I think that action scene is phenomenally done. It's action-packed, it's tense, and it's a great introduction to Superman being reinserted into this movie, and I love that. There's other images such as the one guy shooting Superman right in the eyeball, and we see the close-up of the bullet shattering on his eyeball. That is phenomenal. Just so many different images I really do love. And at the heart of it too is the story of the son becoming the father and the father becoming the son. This is a theme that was explored in a little bit of the first Superman, but especially in the Richard Donner cut of Superman 2. And it's here too because we explore Superman and his son by Lois Lane. And we finally get this resolution and conclusion, I think, to this character that I think is so fitting for a final chapter in exploring the idea and the world of the Richard Donner Superman. And I think that is just one of the best things about this movie. The ending of this movie is so phenomenal. The last 20 minutes especially, all the action has finally been done with Superman's in the hospital, and we get these quiet moments of Lois Lane taking her son to the hospital to see Superman. We see her son kissing Superman's forehead, telling her that he really likes him. And we see that Superman has made a transformation. He has become the father fully. And now he can look at his son and see within him what he can also become, what he has become. And I think that's why this film resonates with me so well. It's just the themes and the love and care that was put into this film. John Ottman's score also brings home such weight It explores the Superman themes that we know from the John Williams score. However, it adds its own flair that I think really makes this movie special and thought-provoking a lot of the times. The music really is that good, and it's beautiful. It's perhaps John Ottman's best score for sure. All the cast do such a great job of embodying these characters. Brandon Routh has a lot to go with this film. I think he gets a lot of flack for being a kind of bland Superman. However, I think he does a great job for what this Superman is trying to do. It's trying to be reflective, and I think he does that quite well. Sometimes I think that Christopher Reeve's Clark Kent gets a little bumbling and awkward and stuff. However, I think he just embodies this awkwardness, Brandon Routh does, in a really great way. I really liked his portrayal a lot, and I think there's a lot that is said with very little dialogue. Also at the center of this film, too, is Kevin Spacey as Lex Luthor. This is my favorite incarnation of Lex Luthor. I think he is conniving, he is truly evil, and he's clearly having so much fun with this role. This role was made for him, and he does a really good job of filling in the shoes of Gene Hackman, and I think even more so. I think this is a phenomenal role for him, and I think he's a great match for Brandon Routh in this film as well. Everything about this film just was made exactly for me. This is the movie that I love and cherish and always go back to. It puts a smile on my face every time I watch it. It makes me laugh. It makes me cry. It makes me feel optimistic about the world and about, humanity's place in it. Its themes really speak to me. I think that Bryan Singer really made a film that just was not able to be understood in the time that it came out in, and even since. I feel like many people would prefer Man of Steel, and I might have even said that back in the day when I originally watched Man of Steel, but when I rewatch that movie now, I just find it to be rather clunky and not do what I think that this film ends up doing so much better. Superman Returns is a phenomenal film to me. It explores what was so great about those early Superman films by being a love letter to that era. It goes a little deeper too, deconstructing the character just a little bit, but also feeling reflective. We are a lot older now. We tend to do this. We kind of question our place in the universe. And I think that's what this movie does so well. I adore this film. It is one of my favorite superhero films, period. I don't care if I'm the only one out there that adores this film, but at least there is somebody out there that will champion this film. I think it is definitely worth watching for the reasons that I explained. If you go into this movie understanding what it is trying to do, what it is trying to say, if you look at it as a film from a bygone era, if you look at it as a love letter and exploration of the Superman we knew from the 1978 film, I think you will get a lot more out of it, and it might really turn you over. So as for my rating for this film, I have to give it my very much coveted 10 out of 10. This is a phenomenal film. This is one of my favorite movies of all time, one of my favorite superhero films. I could sit down and watch this movie and reflect on it every single day of the week. I adore this so much, and I'm so glad that I got to share my thoughts with you. But that is all I got for you guys. I hope you enjoyed this, and as always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, and stay positive.